This was why she went. The last day of the sale meant everything was cheaper. Maomao didn't care about pretty jewels, fashionable clothes, or things like that. She wanted items that most people didn't think much about, so she knew there would still be a lot left to choose from. Also, this was the back part of the palace, a special area. A little bit of playful bargaining was normal, but if anyone tried to trick her, Maomao was clever. She had watched the old madam do business for most of her life. She stopped at a shop that sold tea. A clear glass bowl was filled with small, round flower buds for jasmine tea. When you put hot water in the bowl, the buds would open up, and they looked and smelled wonderful as the tea released its nice scent. Most of the tea had already been sold, and there were only 3 buds left. "I'll take this one," Maomao said. But right then another voice said, "I want this one, please." Maomao looked around and saw someone pointing at the same bowl. She was a girl a little taller than Maomao, but she still looked and sounded pretty young. Maomao blinked, surprised by the difference. She felt like she had seen this girl before. The other girl looked just as confused as Maomao, then she said, "Oh," with a bright smile. "How is your cat?" she asked. That helped Maomao remember. This was the girl who helped catch the kitten, now called Admonisher of Thieves. Maomao still didn't know her name. "She is doing well. She lives at the doctor's office for now." The other girl smiled a big smile. She seemed to be able to show lots of different feelings with her face, and it was easy to understand what she meant. "Oh, Shisui, were you able to get some free time?" Zyrolan asked, joining their conversation. These two probably knew each other already. Now that Maomao thought about it, Shisui was wearing the same uniform as Zyrolan. It was the uniform of the Shangfu, which was the wardrobe service. Zyrolan must have gone to the laundry area a lot. It was just luck that Maomao hadn't seen her before. "Yes, they definitely owe me this much." "You are right," Zyrolan said. It was a nice, friendly talk. Maomao noticed the tea seller was watching them. She went ahead and bought all 3 of the jasmine tea packages left and asked for each to be wrapped separately. The woman wasn't very happy about that, but when Maomao also asked for one of the other teas, she smiled. Then Maomao gave out the packages, one to Zyrolan and one to Shisui, and she kept the last one for herself. "Perhaps we should continue our conversation somewhere else so we don't bother anyone," she said, and gestured toward the medical building. At the medical office, the not very good doctor was looking out at the marketplace with a little jealousy. Like always, he seemed to have plenty of free time. His job kept him in his office most of the time, even if not many people visited. It was probably hard for him. He spent time helping a kitten clean its fur. He was a friendly man, and he always tried to be kind to anyone who came to see him. "Wow, young lady, I didn't know you had friends," he said. It wasn't the most polite thing to say, but it was true. Zyrolan went into the doctor's office feeling a little nervous, but she smiled when she heard the cat say meow. Shisui's eyes lit up too. "She's so cute," Shisui said. "What's her name?" There was a pause. Finally Maomao said, "Admonisher of Thieves." "Huh, that's a strange name. Just call her the kitten then." Yes, the kitten was a good name. Calling her Maomao was actually stranger than the name the emperor gave her. Zyrolan and Shisui didn't visit the medical office very often because they were usually busy with work. Today everyone was happy and enjoying a festival. Just in case, the building where the most important medicines were kept was locked up safe. It was a little strange that Maomao, who wasn't officially working there, knew where the key was. But if she told anyone, they might hide it from her, and she didn't want that to happen. Maomao heated water while the doctor prepared snacks. She chose a special glass container instead of a teapot today. It was mostly for making medicine, but good tea like jasmine deserved something nice. She warmed the cool container with lukewarm water, then poured it out before putting a round tea ball inside and adding hot water. "Oh wow," Zyrolan said, surprised by the strong, wonderful smell coming from the tea. "Maomao, is this the tea you bought?" Maomao nodded. Shisui didn't say anything. Maybe she had seen this tea before. "The water shouldn't be boiling, just warm," Maomao explained. "I don't get many chances to make tea. The tea leaves would probably stay good for a little while if she needed them to." The doctor came in and kindly offered rice crackers and mooncakes. The cakes were pretty big, so he cut them into smaller pieces with a knife. Zyrolan's eyes lit up as she looked at each slice to see which one was the largest. Just a little while ago, she hadn't been sure if it was okay to even come into the doctor's office. She was talking happily with the man. Maybe she was so good at fitting in because she was young. Shisui was also talking to him easily. The man looked very pleased. Some of the women in the palace weren't very friendly to men like him because he didn't have any children. So meeting Xiaolan must have been a nice change. I should remind you both that this isn't just a place for fun. This is just for today, okay? He said this a few times. It seemed like his way of saying they were welcome to visit again, even if he didn't say it directly. Is it always like this? It's like one big celebration out there, Shisui said while eating a mooncake. It made Maomao remember that Shisui was the newest girl in the palace. When consort Lulan arrived, many new women came to live in the rear palace with them. Shisui had been there for only about 6 months. Sort of. It feels like it's been happening for a longer time than normal. Xiaolan, the kitten on her lap, was eating a mooncake. The kitten really wanted her crumbs, so Maomao picked her up and gave her some fish. Yes, the doctor said, clearing his throat and brushing crumbs from his moustache. A group from another country is coming to visit us soon. Maomao wondered if he should be telling them that. She had wanted a warm drink, but now she thought maybe it wasn't a good idea to bring her friends to the doctor's office. So someone important is coming, Xiaolan said. Her eyes were bright again, but Maomao put another piece of mooncake on the plate and Xiaolan quickly looked at the new treat. Maomao thought hard about what else to talk about, but Shisui helped. There's been a strange smell coming from the north side of town lately. Do you know what it is? A strange smell? Xiaolan asked. That part of town isn't very clean. Maybe something is wrong with the drains, the doctor said. A problem with the underground tunnels could definitely make a smell that you could notice. I haven't smelled it, I don't often go to the north side of town, Xiaolan said, while she finished her second mooncake. Do you sometimes work there? Hee. The grass grows really well in that spot. Shisui smiled and pulled out a lot of paper from her clothes. The paper looked like it was for wrapping food, but it had pictures drawn on it with ink. Maomao looked at the pictures with interest, but Xiaolan and the doctor stepped back because the pictures showed insects in great detail. Someone had used a very small brush to capture even the tiniest parts of each insect, and the name of each one was written neatly in the corner. This is really good work, Maomao said, and she truly thought so. The drawings were very neat and looked like they could be in a school textbook. She even drew the back legs carefully. Thank you. One of the things I like best about this place is all the different insects. It gives me lots of opportunities to draw them, Shisui said, happy she found someone who appreciated her work. Xiaolan and the duck were trying not to stare at the very lifelike pictures. Bugs could also be used to make medicine. People in the fancy part of town didn't talk about using bugs much because it sometimes made the women uncomfortable, but bug-based medicines often worked really well. Praying mantis egg cases were really good for giving you energy, and earthworms could help bring down a fever. The fruit orchards to the south are cared for so well that they don't have many bugs, but there are lots of bugs in the northern part. It's pretty empty there, which is nice. There are lots of big spiders there too. Maomao had heard that spider silk could help stop bleeding, but it was hard to collect, so she hadn't tried it yet. Shisui's words excited Maomao. You want to see? I can show you, I do, take me there. Maomao and Shisui seemed to think exactly alike. Xiaolan and the doctor watched them talk without much interest. The kitten, now full from eating, lifted a back leg and scratched behind its ear. Chapter 4 Perfume. All the group traveling through left everyone wanting perfumed oil. Every woman working in the palace wore a different perfume. Each perfume smelled nice on its own, but all the smells mixed together and became a bit overwhelming. Maomao, who could smell things very well, thought it was a little hard to handle. The situation was made worse by the strong perfumes coming from the west. These perfumes weren't light and delicate, but very noticeable. Maomao wasn't the only one who found things a little more difficult because of this new style. When she went to wash clothes, she saw huge piles of clothing that smelled strongly of perfume. The men who did the washing looked worried as they carried bucket after bucket of water. Trends like this usually didn't last very long. People weren't as excited about getting their nails done anymore, so they wanted a new popular thing. Many people still loved reading books, and books were different from things like perfume. Xiaolan was as bothered by the perfume as Maomao was, because it meant she had more work to do. but she kept studying hard so she could read her new book. Maomao thought Xyrolan might get tired of trying after a few days, but she was surprised to see how much effort Xyrolan put in. It smells bad, Maomao said to herself as she put down a basket of clean clothes. Just being near the smell almost made her feel dizzy. She stood there feeling tired, but someone walked right into her. It was a servant girl carrying a basket of clothes, and some of the laundry ended up on Maomao. "I'm so sorry," said the servant girl, her voice still quite young. The clothes smelled strongly of roses, and whoever they belonged to clearly liked that scent, roses, she thought. Did Maomao feel a little greedy thinking about how much money her rose water might be worth? She had made a lot of it but wasn't using it right away. She knew rose scent could sometimes affect pregnant women, so she was saving it for later. It would likely be okay if consort Gyokao didn't use too much, but you never really knew, so it was best to be careful. Because of this, Maomao had been trying to find a good time to sell it in the busy part of town before it spoiled. She quickly pulled the cloth off her head with an annoyed sound. She blinked and smelled the clothes carefully. This surprised the maid, but Maomao didn't notice. She threw the outfit into the laundry basket and then stuck her face into another one. Soon, the eunuchs and other servants nearby were watching her with wonder, but Maomao didn't mind. She moved from basket to basket, smelling each pile of clothes. By the time she finished, she forgot to take her own washing home with her. She went somewhere else instead. Maomao knew better than anyone where new styles would start. That day, the ladies who worked at the Crystal Pavilion were very loud, and everyone in the palace could hear them. That evening, a fancy eunuch showed up at the Jade Pavilion. She thought he might do this. He was holding a paper that looked like a complaint. "I thought you would be a little calmer," Jinchi said, sounding annoyed and now a little angry. Behind him stood Gaeshun, looking tired and frustrated, consort Gyokao, who looked worried but curious, and Hongyang, who was trying hard not to look very upset. The other girls who helped the princess were asleep with Princess Lingli, who was already in bed. "I am too," Maomao thought, but it was too late. You needed a lot of evidence to know something for sure. The Crystal Pavilion was a good place to find it, and Maomao had, you could say, given in to her curiosity. "I'm sorry. I got so excited I did it before asking if it was okay." "You sound like someone making excuses," he said. That wasn't what Maomao wanted to hear from a man who already seemed a little sneaky, but for now she looked down and tried to seem sorry. "Next time I will ask before I smell anything. But why were you smelling things?" Jinchi sounded upset. "Oh my," Gyokao said, blinking. This made Jinchi realize how he sounded, so he looked a little less angry and became more gentle. Anyway, Maomao had learned her lesson. She found out she needed to ask before smelling people's clothes. She also learned not to get too excited and quickly grab clothes from people, so she could smell them better. She had learned it was best not to sniff the ladies who worked at the Crystal Pavilion. They already thought she was strange, like a ghost or something bad, but now they seemed to think she was even worse. Even though she knew they might get upset, Maomao needed to be sure about something. She decided she had apologized enough for now. She lifted her head and looked Jinchi right in the eye. She actually thought it was good the complaint brought Jinchi here so fast. She believed this needed a quick decision. "I had a good reason for what I did." She kept looking at Jinchi for a few seconds. He finally spoke, keeping his face serious. "This explanation needs to be a good one." "Of course it will be," Maomao said confidently. Then she looked at Gyokao and Hongyang and asked for some paper. Someone quickly brought it to her. It was from Gyokao's own supply, and it was actually better quality than she needed for now. She thought any old piece of paper would have worked, but she was the only one there who didn't have much money, so she was the only one who thought of that. She quickly wrote down her ideas while the others gathered around the desk to watch. Consort Gyokao read what she wrote: rose, benzoin, parasol tree, frankincense and cinnamon. "Are these all different kinds of perfume?" Maomao nodded. "I smelled these scents on the women at the palace today." "So what?" Jinchi asked, putting his hands in his sleeves. "Not many women were wearing a lot of any one scent," Maomao said, putting down her paintbrush, "but all of them could be bad for a woman who is pregnant." This made everyone a little worried. She continued, the travelers were also selling spices and teas. She showed them the ones she had bought for herself. Maomao bought jasmine tea along with peppers, good black pepper, rock salt and cinnamon. Cinnamon smells nice enough to use in perfume too. This all fit her taste because she loved foods that were a little dry and spicy. She was a little embarrassed by how much she spent, but she had the money, so she bought it all. She told herself she should have known right away, but Maomao was caught up in the happy mood. Jasmine tea can sometimes start contractions, she said. A little bit probably won't cause a problem, but to be safe and avoid losing the baby, you should probably not drink any more. It was the same tea Maomao, Xiaolan, and the others had enjoyed at the doctor's office recently. And these spices. Peppers are often found in mixtures women use to end pregnancies. Maomao looked at Gyokao. Gyokao understood this was important and looked back at Maomao, nodding for her to continue. Hongyang wanted to protect Gyokao from upsetting news, but she respected what Gyokao thought and let Maomao speak. So these ingredients make it more likely a woman will miscarry? Jinshi asked. Maomao didn't say yes or no right away. He was correct in some ways and incorrect in others. Each ingredient makes it more likely to happen, but none of them will definitely cause it, unless someone accidentally drinks a lot of the perfume or gets a really big amount on their skin. Usually all the ingredients are pretty safe, or they wouldn't be allowed inside the emperor's palace. Everything could be used in different ways. If someone accidentally ate ingredients found near the Jade Pavilion, it was hard to know what would happen. What if that person was expecting a baby? Maomao wished she had noticed this sooner. Can we find out anything about the merchants who came with the caravan? She asked. We can try, but I don't think we'll find a detailed list of everything they sold. Perfumes would just be listed as perfumes, spices as spices, and tea as tea. It was unlikely they wrote down the specific types or kinds of each thing. All the new things that arrived had been checked carefully, so everyone felt good about their work and didn't have much to complain about. But one thing still bothered Maomao. Doesn't this seem like you know? Jinshi asked, not sure what she meant. She was thinking of something that seemed good for the palace but could also have a surprising effect. The face powder that could be poisonous, Maomao said. Everyone in the room suddenly understood what she meant. Last summer, Princess Lingli got sick for a reason no one could figure out. At the same time, Consort Lihua's son, who was next in line to be emperor, also became ill and sadly died. Now the women in the palace use a new face powder that doesn't have lead in it. The old face powder, the one with lead, isn't allowed anymore. Maybe it made them less careful. Do you think someone is trying to sneak poison into the palace? Jinshi asked. Maomao didn't say yes or no. She only had a guess, not a sure answer right now. She was pretty sure about what was happening, but there was still a chance she could be mistaken. It reminded her of something that had happened before. Also, Suhari, a palace servant who had come back to life, was still out there, and no one knew much about where she came from or who she knew. Perhaps Jinshi knew something about this topic, but he didn't have to share it with Maomao. I just noticed a lot of things that could be a little dangerous have come into the palace, but none of them are really poisonous. She wasn't quite telling the whole truth, presenting everything as what she thought. She didn't want the merchants who brought things to the palace to get in trouble because of her. She would let Jinshi decide what to do. I think it would be good to tell the other ladies as well, she said. That was all she wanted to say. Talking about it all made Maomao very tired. She remembered her father's words. She could almost hear his kind voice telling her not to talk without knowing all the facts. So, how much of what she said was a guess, and how much was something she knew for sure? The question made her feel a little uneasy. Maomao went into the kitchen and heated some water. When it was boiling, she added some cold water to it and poured it into a glass cup. A small amount of jasmine tea was already inside, waiting to be steeped. The glass was a nice one, but that was okay, she would wash it well when she finished her drink. Maomao had already finished her jasmine tea, which was too bad, but Shisui gave some of hers back. She said she had enough now and didn't need the whole pot to herself. Maomao wished Shisui had just taken the gift, but she didn't want to disagree with him. She really liked this tea. Her friends had let her try it when no one was buying anything, and drinking it now reminded her of those times. The flour started to become soft and unfold in the warm water. Maomao sat in a chair and watched the steaming food. A lovely smell filled the air around her. I thought that was supposed to be poison, a beautiful voice said. She looked up and saw a face as pretty as the voice, glowing in the light from the paper lantern in the kitchen. It was already dark. The lantern made Jinchi's face look a little red. She was very pretty. Many poisons can help you if you don't have too much, she said. Just 1 cup of tea wouldn't really do much at all. This is the kitchen. It's not really a place for someone like you, Master Jinchi. Don't argue. Where is Master Geishun? I sent him to take a message. Even though the eunuch was important, Maomao still made a face at him. She held the tea up to the light, looking at the jasmine flower which had now opened completely. She took a drink, liking how the flower floated in her tea. She knew she should offer Jinchi some, but it was late and time for him to go home. Also, Maomao said, I'm not expecting a baby. That's right, Jinchi agreed. He looked away when he said it, which seemed a little strange. He was sitting across from her, but when had he sat down?